Hey, this is Jennifer Merritt, and this is a class for the Artist Within. So today we're on week 4, if you're following the Artist Way book. And there's a few things that it talks about with the journaling exercises and stream of consciousness writing. And so one thing is this is a way to connect your conscious mind and your subconscious mind. And so if you have other patterns around journaling, um, where it's like maybe you always use journaling to like get out negative things and then you associate the negative with journaling, then you might have a habit that your thoughts are just going right to the negative. And that way of journaling is awesome, and just start to be really intentional about it, that the stream of consciousness journaling is anything that pops into your mind is what you write down. Even if the whole thing is like, I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I've done that. Who hasn't done that does this book? There are days that that's possible. Whatever it is that pops into your mind, you just put it on the paper. And kind of keep in mind that this is like, we have our negative mind, which is our reptilian brain that wants to keep us safe, that is like taking things from the past and trying to avoid painful things, which is great for some experiences. It's not helpful for some experiences. When it's a habit, it's not helpful. When it's based in reality, it's really helpful. So we don't want to like downplay our negative mind. We need it. We really do. We need that fight, flight, freeze, get through the day response. It's not as needed when it's a habit. So then we have the positive mind, and then we have our neutral mind, and we have our ego mind, which is the part of us that's like me. It's like I'm separate, right? And then you move into your consciousness that's higher, your higher self, and God self. I will say God self. You can call it your divine self. You can keep calling it your higher self. You can call it the earth, the goddess. So it's like before we can connect to spirit, we connect to our subconscious. And that part of us has layers to it that is subconscious for a reason. We couldn't deal with something when we were younger. It's painful. It's frustrating. Maybe, like one thing one of my clients is working with is when something comes up for them where they start to feel frustrated, like they're learning something new, and then they get agitated because they just want to know it already. And they're not compassionate to the time that they need to really learn it. It's really just coming from not having the tolerance to learn something new. And, so that's subconscious. And so when we're doing this journaling, that person might be writing it out. And when the more they allow their subconscious to speak, it might be really frustrated. I feel frustrated. I gave up. I didn't finish it. It was irritating to me. I should know this. I should learn this as quickly as someone else learns this. These might be the thoughts that are coming out from the negative mind perspective. And then the positive mind might chime in at some point and say, but it's okay that we're different. I learn at my own pace. I'm going to be compassionate for this. And then the neutral mind will be like, I'm just going to do it later. I'm not going to do it right now, which could also be the negative mind. And then at some point, the higher self might chime in and say, I'm teaching you right now how to do this. I'm teaching you to have a higher tolerance for this frustration so that you can learn more easily. I'm teaching you, that you might find that in your morning pages, you have moments where you just drop into that stream of consciousness, where you're fluctuating between the negative mind, the neutral mind, the positive mind, your ego mind. Your ego mind you'll recognize because you'll feel a sense of separation. They can do this, but I can't. I can do this, but they can't. The higher mind is going to say, we're all connected. What is the wisdom that they have? How can I learn that? The higher mind is going to say, I'm going to teach myself this in the past. So that way I'm building neurons for it. And I now know how to access that information. So this stream of consciousness journaling, if you find that you stop doing it, there's probably a reason that something was coming up that that maybe scared you, made you nervous, felt uncomfortable. It was frustrating, and you just didn't have the tolerance to get through the frustration. And that's like, so know that this is possible. If it comes up, or if you've already stopped, get back into it. Do the journaling every day, and do the journaling with this intention of, if the negative mind comes up, fine. If the positive mind comes up, if it's neutral, if it's my ego mind, if it's my higher mind, if it's my higher self, wherever this thought is coming from, my reptilian brain, my mammalian brain, wherever this thought is coming from, I'm just going to write it down. No judgment, write it down. And then you start to notice the wisdoms come up. The next time you're feeling sad about something, it turns into like, you just keep writing and you find, oh, like, I don't need the sadness. I need to take action. I need to stop talking to this person for a little bit, or I need to like not entertain that historic thought for right now. I'm going to take a break from it for a week. I'm going to take action by setting time in my schedule for free flow reorganization. So that way I can organize stuff, be creative, whatever you got to do, like I'm just stream of consciousness talking to you, right? So some of it you're going to relate to and some of it you're not. But what you can relate to is the fact that you can go inward, you can ask yourself and get to that point with that stream of consciousness journaling, that you are fluctuating between all these different sides of your authentic being. And so week 4 is about having that compassion, come back to the journaling exercises, and if it's something that you want to do. And and then the other thing is knowing that there's times in life where things change slow. It's so easy. You don't even know you're changing. And the biggest way that I've learned this in my life was with my grandfather, because he had Alzheimer's. And by the time he was so my mentality is, if there's a problem, you don't think about it, you just do it. And it's so ingrained in me that like when he started doing things like he couldn't empty the dishwasher, he would put dirty things away and things that I just did it. He never thought about it. I just wouldn't let him do the dishes. I just put stuff away. When he started taking stuff in and out of the freezer, when he wasn't able to drive, I just drove for him. He never drove. I never felt a need to take away his car keys, and I was proud of myself for it. And so unfortunately, when I wasn't around, it kind of came to light that he was really sick. And unfortunately, because of my habits around just doing things, it could have been diagnosed sooner. But for me, his changes were so slow and so progressive. I just kept moving with it. It wasn't until stage 3 Alzheimer's before it was recognized. And then, I was able to be with him for a very long period of time and not fully feel bad about the changes in his life, in our life. And because it was slow, it was just slow. And then once I moved out and I was not around him every single day, it was hard. It was so hard because I could see change. So when it was around me every day and it was slow and gradual, I couldn't see the change. I just adapted to it. So my life wasn't hard. It was like, oh, this is what we're doing now. And when I could see the changes, it got really hard. And so this is I think everyone can kind of relate to this kind of life experience where there's slow change. You don't really see how your life is changing. It's not painful, the change that you're adapting to as a human. Now, another life experience that's pretty common for people is like, you go from high school to working your first full-time job, working for someone else, and you've got like 8 hours a day that's dedicated to a role that very quickly you have to adapt to be in. And a lot of people have this experience. And it can feel super chaotic. And because it's a survival mode mentality, people just suck it up. They get through it. It's almost like common knowledge. This is a life it's like, it's almost like people celebrate it as a way to help the person get through it. Congratulations on the new job. But really, it's really difficult because you're adjusting to this new job. Or the first time I have someone has a child, they're like, everyone celebrates them, but they're celebrating them as a way to help them adjust to this lifestyle change, because it's hard, it's quick, it's so dramatic. So when we're doing this work with the artist within, and you're using the artist way, like, this is sometimes slow and gradual, and you don't really see your changes. It's easy. You just adapt as you go. And then sometimes the changes are like so dramatic that you almost feel like your brain is rewiring and your body is just like, what's going on? Like, my world is falling apart. And sometimes it literally shows up in your world. Like, all of a sudden the car breaks down, or you lose your job, or like you get a bill in the mail that you're like, oh, I have to adapt to this. That's the thing. I have to adapt to this. And the negative mind could be like, at that point, I'm going to stop doing my journaling. I'm going to stop doing my self-care. I'm just going to sleep it off, and that's where it's like, if you know ahead, it's possible change can be dramatic. It's not uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable. You can go into it saying, I'm going to be tolerant of as much of this uncomfortability as possible, and I'm going to rally through this. I'm going to keep going. And, so the other thing is, don't look for the change to be dramatic. Don't look for the change to be uncomfortable, because success also happens slowly. So, like, you're on this path of personal growth. You're here because you want to allow your authentic being to shine. You want to know what your gifts are. You want to know what it feels like to be happy. Like, you want to know what it feels like to be whatever it is that you want, creative, grounded, someone that feels good in life. You want to move past those painful past things or the critical thoughts, and you want to be able to create. That's why you're here. So, this is what they're talking about in week 4. And just know that if you're going through that, rally, celebrate, give yourself time. If you have too much in your schedule, see what you can make changes around. If you don't have enough in your schedule, add things that support you. I know for me this week, I'm often adding into my schedule time to clean up the past. Like, it's like I'm reorganizing my photo albums so that I'm remembering the things that make me happy, and I'm getting rid of the pictures that remind me of things that don't feel good. I'm like, why do I keep reminding myself of things that don't feel good? This isn't helping the past, the future, anything. So I'm literally redoing my photo albums to say, like, oh, I like this picture. This feels great. Look where I went. And that way I'm looking at it and I have all these things that feed my positive mind. Because we really do, like, we feed our negative mind. We feed our positive mind. We feed our higher mind. And the journaling exercises, when you tap into that, when you give yourself access to do like what I'm doing right now, I'm demonstrating to you how to just be stream of consciousness. Let your being come through. And it's higher. I don't feel like I'm talking from my ego right now. I feel like I'm talking from this collective place. And part of it is coming from the past, because the people that are on this call right now have contributed to it. So this is truly a group consciousness. And that's going to make sense to some people, and some people it's not, and that's okay. So the other thing I wanted to say, well, that's what I wanted to say about the Artist with Way, what's going on in the book. Today's all about connecting to authenticity, trusting your perceptions, having these, just feeding the positive mind with affirmations that help you be your authentic self, learn more, trust yourself, like cultivate that part of you. And so we're going to do EFT with these affirmations. And alongside of the video, I'll have the affirmations that I'm doing with this call. But then if you add to this list, I'll write it in. So I think it's really helpful to learn from each other, to be able to see an affirmation that someone else finds helpful. You might not think to say that affirmation and do the tapping, but in hearing it from someone else, you're like, yes, that's exactly what I need today. So So the video is going to have the positive affirmations we're doing in class, and then I'll add to the list. So when you're doing this in your home practice, if you rewatch this, you can sit with one affirmation on repeat for like, give yourself 5 minutes and just see what happens in your consciousness, just feeding that one affirmation. And so we'll do both. We're going to do, I'm learning to trust my perceptions. I trust my perceptions on repeat for 5 minutes. And then I'm going to pause the video. If you're watching the video, pause the video, give yourself time to reflect on it. And then we'll come back and we're going to do a layer of affirmations. So it's a whole bunch of different affirmations. And so that way there's two parts to this, because in your home practice, there are days where you want to just roll through a whole bunch of different affirmations. And there's also days where you want to sit with one affirmation and really feel into it, feel what your body feels like. Let it go through metamorphosis, because you might find that the negative mind chimes in or the positive mind chimes in, or you have insights. And the EFT is another way to drop into stream of consciousness. So we'll start with our affirmation to help neutralize the negative mind. So you'll say, even though there has been times I did not trust my perception, I deeply and completely love, accept myself, and I forgive myself and anyone else involved. Even though there has been times I've trusted other people's words or what they say their perception is over my own. Moving forward this day on, I trust my perceptions, and I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I forgive myself for not trusting myself. I forgive others for not knowing how to trust what I'm saying. I forgive anyone who might have contributed to me not trusting my perceptions. We'll say it one more time. Even though I feel as though I should be trusting my perceptions more. Maybe I'm comparing myself to other people. I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And I'm choosing to not compare myself to others. And I'm simply choosing to trust my perceptions more. I forgive myself and anyone else that has contributed to the way I compare people to learn. And I deeply and completely love and accept myself. I'm just going to say it one more time because that's so nice, right? I deeply and completely love and accept myself. And now we're just going to feed our positive mind with these affirmations. And for the next 5 minutes, we're doing the affirmation. I'm learning to trust my perception. I trust my perception. I'm learning to trust my perception. I trust my perception. I am learning to trust my perception. I trust my perception. And I know when we repeat the same thing, it can get kind of like mundane sounding. Whatever it feels like, just feel the feeling. I trust my perception. Whatever thoughts come up, let them come up. I trust my perception. I'm learning to trust my perception more and more every day. I trust my perception. Feel your heart. I trust my perception. Deep breath in and out. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. Say it out loud. Whether you're watching the video or you're here now, say it out loud. I trust my perception. Your body loves to hear the sound of your own voice. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. You can say it in different ways. You can say it faster, slower. I trust my perception. And then feel how that feels. I trust my perception. I'm going to be quiet so you can just hear the sound of your voice. Keep going. I trust my perception. I am learning to trust my perception. While you're saying this affirmation, visualize who you are as someone who walks through the world trusting their senses, their intuition, what their perception is. What other people do is in their control, not our control, but it is in our control to heal. So have an experience of healing right now. And keep going. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. And this isn't, I trust my perception, so therefore everyone's wrong, I'm right. It's not about that. It's, I trust my perception. I saw this, period. I trust my perception. I heard this, period. I trust my perception, my intuition, my feeling, my sensitivity. This is what my experience is, period. I'm not going to let someone else tell me what my experience is, right? I trust my perception. I trust my perception. I trust my perception. And we're going to go right into other affirmations. So take another couple of deep breaths, feel your body. You could say, I trust my perceptions even when someone else disagrees. I trust my perception even when I disagree with someone else. I am stronger and clearer every day. A stronger and clearer me is emerging. Every day, day by day, I am becoming my authentic self. I am worthy of seeing myself clearly. I am worthy of seeing myself clearly. I am worthy of expressing my authenticity. I am worthy of expressing my authenticity. The ribcage point. The past has no power over me. Top of the head. The past has no power over me. I am who I am, not what the past has been. I am learning to accept my pure identity. And my identity is not my religion, my race, what the past has taught me. I am my identity. My identity is I am. I am who I am, not what I thought in the past. I am more than my thoughts. I am more than my feelings. I am more than past experiences. What other people did or said is their choice. My choosing healing is my choice. Today I choose change. I am adapting and becoming my authentic self. I trust my perceptions. I trust my eyes, ears, sense of smell, touch, taste. I trust my intuition. I'm learning to learn in new ways, so I no longer need to compare myself to others. I've learned a lot by mimicking other people, and I now learn by connecting to my higher self. So I do not need to compare myself to other people. I am compassionate to myself as I learn and grow. I am compassionate to myself as I learn and grow. I remember the words that people say, and more, those memories are just memories. They're no longer having an effect on me. I am experiencing myself as cleaning up the past. My memories are becoming memories and no longer having an effect on me. I'm capable of being compassionate to people in my memories and compassionate to myself. My compassion to those in my memories allows me to be free. They were being their authentic self and they knew what they knew then. And now I am being my authentic self and I'm learning and growing. Intuition shows up in practical ways. I'm grateful for the wisdom that I have through my senses and intuition. I am getting clear and clear on my gifts every day. I'm choosing to celebrate what I'm good at, my authenticity. I celebrate my perceptions. My intuition shows up when I need it. I trust my perceptions. I trust my intuition. Whatever changes are arising for me, whether it's slow change or dramatic change, I am willing to go all the way into adapting to this higher self, authentic self, for my highest and greatest good. I am connecting my positive mind, negative mind, neutral mind, ego mind with my higher mind, my God self, my divine goddess. However you want to say the word for spirit. Take a deep breath in and out. In and out. Often the thing about stream of consciousness is that we can go into states of mind where we change, we're adapting. And the critical mind can be like, shit. At the beginning of this class, I said halfway through I was going to pause, and then I didn't pause. You know, I did all kinds of things today. There were times I skipped points, you know, and if we want to be super perfect, I could make that wrong, but it's not wrong. Like, this is stream of consciousness. Something changed while I was doing the class. It felt really good to just keep going. So that's what we did. And the divine feminine energy, like the earth, it's like this big cosmic experience that we're all having. And the tree has the seed and the wind carries it and it grows. And there's all these environmental things that contribute to the seed, you know, and the tree could be like, oh shit, I had a plan and I didn't stick to it, you know, or the tree could be like, the wind blew and the thing left and this is perfect. Do you know what I mean? Like, so it's really good to have intentions, and masculine energy is going to want to be really discerning and stick to intentions. Feminine energy is going to be like, ooh, the wind grew. Perfect. It changed. I'm adapting. It's going to go with the flow. And so please be kind to yourself in these stages of growth, you know, where when it's linear, be linear. When it's like, here's the plan, I'm sticking to the plan, be sticking to the plan. When things change, flow, adapt, like, be willing to embrace all the energy you have to go with that flow, and then go with the flow. So I'm going to wrap up this call and this video, and you can always pause it, you know, if you need time to digest something, if you want to sit with one of the affirmations for 5 minutes and move through it, you can. And I will see you next week.